Hello, Brad here again with some more stories about angels interceding in people's lives. If you want to learn more about angels and how to invoke their presence in your life, be sure to check out the links in the description. If you like this content, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Thank you. Okay, let's get into our stories. The first one is from a woman who, when she was about 10 or 11 years old, heard and obeyed the inner voice, and thereby was spared from what could have caused her great harm. Here's what she wrote. I was about 10 or 11 years old. It was a hot summer day, and my father had just picked my sister and me up from our summer camp, and we were driving home. I was so sleepy that I thought it would be wonderful to lean my head up against the car door and fall asleep. Just then, I heard a voice I shall never forget. It was a female voice, firm yet gentle, commanding yet soothing. The voice spoke to me and said, "No, do not lay down your head. Wait until you get home." I do not have words to describe the beauty of this voice, nor the depth of this being's care for me. Such is an angel's love. I instantly obeyed her command and raised myself to a more upright position. Seconds later, our car was hit broadside by another car, and the side on which I was sitting was completely smashed in. If I had laid my head down as I had intended, I would have incurred severe head injuries and perhaps even died. My gratitude to God for the wondrous intercession and creation of the angels of light. Our next story comes from a grandmother whose grandson was kidnapped. Thankfully, with the help of the Archangels, everything turned out well. Here's what she wrote. 4 years ago, my grandson was kidnapped by his non-custodial Native American mother and was swept away to her Indian reservation. This woman was not a nice person, and we were quite concerned for his safety. Unfortunately, U.S. state's custody laws were not enforceable on the reservation, and so it seemed that getting him back was a lost cause. However, we decided to go to the tribal courts and try anyway, even though we knew they almost always side with the Indian parent in such disputes. Desperate, I invoked the Archangels to go ahead of us as we drove 12 hours to court. I asked them to illuminate the minds of all who would deal with our cause and to place events into play to ensure my grandson's safety and speedy return to his custodial father. When we got to the courthouse and walked in, we immediately ran into opposition. No matter who we asked for assistance, no one would help us. Finally, I asked God to send me a living angel to help us. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, a nice-looking man appeared and helped us find a tribal lawyer to represent us. It was almost shocking as we stood there for a few seconds, wondering what had just happened. It turned out that we had to attend 3 hearings. But amazingly, my grandson's father was granted custody. I attribute this miracle to divine intercession and the awesome power of God's archangels. Our last stories come from a lady in the Philippines who witnessed undeniable angelic mediation on behalf of the men in her life who she prayed for. Here's her stories. I have 2 stories that I would love to share to let others know how real our angels are. As I'm typing this, I feel chills down my spine, and I know the angels are pleased I'm sharing this. The first story was the time that my grandfather went into a coma after experiencing a stroke. The doctors felt that he might not make it as he was very old. My mother planned a trip to see him, and I was supposed to go with her. But as a nurse with a heavy work schedule at my hospital, I wasn't able to get free to see him. Feeling that I may never see my grandfather again, I prayed that night to my angel. I was taught in my Catholic faith that angels can and will send messages to the ones we love if we ask them. This is what I prayed. Dearest guardian angel, I may not be able to fly to see my grandpa, but please visit him on my behalf. Please let him know that I love him and I am praying for him. Thank you. Amen. A few days after, my grandpa woke from his coma. My grandmother, who was at his side, told me later that the first thing he did as he awoke was he started calling out my name. Sarah, Sarah. My grandmother said, Jose, Sarah is back in Davio. Why are you calling her? My grandfather replied, She's here. She's the girl in white I saw passing by just now. She was smiling at me and waving at me. Is she one of my nurses?" Tears welled up in my eyes when I was told what happened. My grandfather recovered and came to visit us here in the city, and I was able to ask him firsthand what he saw. He told me this. By the way, he is not senile and still has a good memory. "When I woke up, you were the first person that I saw. You were in white, beautiful and smiling. When I tried to call you, you just waved back. I knew from the depths of my heart that it was my angel who visited my grandpa on my behalf." The second story is between me and one of my pen pals, Corey. He is a drill sergeant in the U.S. Army, and we have been communicating for several months. One time he informed me that he was going on a mission to Afghanistan and it may be quite dangerous. The tone of his voice was quite scary, as if he was suggesting that he may not survive. I told him that I would pray for him. That day I visited the cathedral and lit candles on his behalf. I prayed to my angel and asked, "Dearest angel, I send you to Corey with my prayers, that he may be safe. Please let him know that I prayed for him and kept my promise. Thank you. Amen." As time went by, it had been weeks since I heard from him, and I feared he might have died during his mission. No words can describe how I felt when finally he contacted me online and told me what had happened. In the middle of his mission, he and his team were walking in a dangerous area, and unknowingly Corey stepped on a landmine. He thought that that was it for him. I was a goner. But to everyone's surprise, it didn't explode. Unfortunately, the partner who was walking behind him also didn't see the mine, stepped on it, and it exploded, killing him instantly. Amazingly, Corey escaped the explosion unscathed. He told me the first thing on his mind was that someone must have prayed for him since he was so lucky. Corey told me that only in 1,000 years would someone be lucky enough to have stepped on a mine without it exploding. He also said that he knew for some reason it was me who had been praying for him. As I'm typing this, Corey is still in Afghanistan, and I will continue to pray for him. I have requested his permission to share this, and I hope that this will encourage you, dear readers, to ask your guardian angel for help. Rest assured, you will get your answers if it's God's will. I hope these stories were inspiring and made your day a little brighter. If you like this content, please consider subscribing, commenting, and liking this video. Doing so will help get these stories recommended to more people on YouTube. Thank you.